All righty, welcome inside the Wells Fargo Center, the East Food Hall. Flyers getting set to take on the Pittsburgh Penguins. Black Friday. Crosby, Malkin, Letang, Jeff Carter. Yeah, Jeff Carter.
Are they healthy?
Yeah. Hartz. And Flyers, Pens. Flyers looking to stop the bleeding. So back to back. They've got today against the Pens. Tomorrow, they're going to head up and take on the New York Islanders in a back-to-back. And you're looking to avoid that 10-game skid. I don't know why the double digits, it's like more of a referendum, I think, than just 10 games. It's a symbolic number, isn't it?
It is. You don't want to get there. You don't want to be mired in anything that long. You really don't want the best five, I don't think. But you're right, there's something about it that makes it feel a little worse than it does. Although there continues to be something about this one that doesn't feel as bad as past 10 game streaks. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just a little bit better acceptance of the situation the Flyers are in right now.
That's absolutely
I heard you mention on Flyers Daily today, one of the folks that wrote in that said they're actually happy with the way the defense is playing. And I actually stopped and thought about it. I was like, yeah, we're not really at any point here complaining about the defense. There's been some issues, but nothing that's been like, oh my God, the Flyers can't defend. It's just been the lack of scoring and then some of the defensive play of the forwards have been the problem more often than not. So it's just a weird situation that the Flyers seem to be in right now, where it's just, they obviously should have had a better fate in a couple of these games, and you just got to wait for the bounces to go to and get it.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, they've been in these games. I think you look at the one game, you go, oh, you lost 5-2. Two of those are empty netters.
Yeah.
And then you lose in Washington. They tie it up late with that goal from Sonny Milano. Then you go to overtime. They didn't possess the puck in the overtime. And eventually Ovechkin scores to a minute and change in. And you go, oh, my goodness, woe is me. And we're missing so many guys. You're 5 of your top 6, and Wade Allison, and Cam Atkinson, and obviously Couturier. And then you look at Lawton and Travis Konechny and James Van Riemsdyk, and you're on you're so depleted. It's just such a tough situation. They've worked hard, and talking to Torch Pregame, he made it clear that that's not up for debate when they work hard within a round.
Right.
You do that no matter what. Don't expect to get a Buzzy Button or a chest to pin on for working hard.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, looking back at the streak, if I go through it game by game, the Dallas game, that was we kind of saw that coming. So 5-1 loss. Boston Bruins lost 4-1. That was the Boston Bruins. But the rest of these,
to 12 and over there.
Yeah. That's insane. 8-3.
NHL record is presents.
They could get there. But the rest of these games, when you take out the empty net goals, I believe are all 1-goal losses. This Ottawa had 2 empty nets, correct? Columbus had 2 empty nets, and Calgary had 2 empty nets. So you're talking about in this 9 games, 7 of them were 1-goal losses. So it's not as bad as that looks like when you write it down on paper.
Yeah, you come back from 2-2 goal deficits in that game in Columbus.
Yeah.
And then you end up losing that one 5-4 in overtime. And then you have the Montreal game they couldn't close out, and they got the game tied at 4 with the other attacker on, and one of your guys broke a stick, and then they win that game in the shootout. And then, like we mentioned, the Washington game, it's a late goal that gets it tied. You go into the third with a 2-1 lead. Mm-hmm. And, it's just crazy.
The Calgary game, for me, really to the point that it is because they shot late through. Mm-hmm. I don't recall seeing anything like that before. A shot really to stick and then end up putting it back of the net. It's been an injury. It's been bad bounces. Have there been some breakouts? Yes, absolutely. But those aren't the reason for. I guess they are the reason. There's been no offense the other way to accommodate, and like you were saying today, that's a tough place to put the goaltender. He knows there's not going to get a whole lot.
2.5 goals per game is what they're averaging right now, the Flyers, and that is 32nd in the NHL. And look, I think that affects even more people than just the goaltender. I think that just affects your team.
Sure.
Knowing that, we don't score a lot, so we can't give up a lot. So you maybe take a little less risk offensively because first and foremost, you got to keep it out of your own net.
Right.
And while you want to play from your net out, that's still a tough spot to be in for a team that is bereft of game breakers right now.
Yeah. And even hearing some maybe into the offense strategy, because we're looking at the tying goal the other night that we thought it was very, very close to being offside. And again, there were angles that the staff had that we didn't have. But one angle we saw, it's not worth maybe challenging it at that point because you're going to go down and lose it. And like you said, there's just as good a chance that you're going to lose in regulation in that situation because of where the team's at right now. Yeah. So it's just, it affects everything.
Yeah, if you lose the challenge, the game's tied, and the power play, your team has not been great on the PK against the greatest power play player in the history of the game in Ovechkin, and 3 minutes left.
Yeah, exactly.
You mentioned the post-game show. You got to consider when that's happened in the game. If it happens in the second period, maybe they take a risk and challenge it. They said it was onside anyway, based on what they saw. But if it's a 50-50 call, right?
Right.
If it's in the second period and that happens and the game's tied and you go down a goal in the power play, you still have a period and a half or whatever to overcome it. With 3 minutes left, you just don't have any time to overcome it.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, you're just not in the spot to deal with that situation at that particular time. And so, already having had a couple of games before this one happened where the Flyers have allowed a late goal to tie things or to just change things the other way. It's just not a place where the team is they're a little too fragile to try to send it down the road.
It's interesting because I did get a letter. Not a letter. It sounds like
you got a letter?
Via email from a guy asking, maybe it was at the end, saying, hey, one thing nobody's really talked about is that during the skid that Carter hasn't been the same goalie he was before. And I agree. I mean, he was 6-0-2 with a .949 save percentage.
Right.
Otherworldly type numbers. And since then, his last game that he won was he got one goal against Ottawa. That was the 2-1 win in Ottawa. Yep. He had .971 that night. Game prior to .972. Save percentage in the game when they had the overtime loss against the Rangers, nothing. And since then, in 6 games, he has gone 0-4-2, and he's allowed 2 goals, 178 saves, or 178 shots allowed, and 156 saves. And he's got an .876 save percentage.
Right.
But as I thought about that guy's question, and I'm going back in my mind's eye, and sometimes, yeah, he certainly is not as dominant as he was in the beginning of the year, but I'm trying to think of a game where, he was the cause of not being able to get a win. I think he's made big saves in even these 6 games, and maybe there's a couple in there that he doesn't like. Maybe one of those on the 2-on-1s the other day in that game, where the 2 2-on-1s in the first period. I think I'm not sure who that was against. I can't remember. But maybe you need to save one of those or something like that. But I look at really the consistent thing, and it does change a little game to game. It's just not enough scoring. I mean, you look at the games, and they're just not putting the puck in the net nearly enough in a league where I think the average amount of goals per game over the quarter around the league is like 6.18. It's the highest in 25 years.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think the discrepancy between those numbers is magnified for me a little
bit from the fact that when Carter was playing well, I shouldn't even say playing well. When he was playing exceptionally at the start of the year, the Flyers were allowing a ton of shots.
Yeah.
And now he's come back to earth at the same time as many shots as they did. Now, if we were in a situation where the Flyers allowing as many shots as they had when we came back down to earth, we're looking at him going from 949, probably like a 90, maybe a low 91. But since they haven't allowed quite as many, it looks that it starts with 97. We'd like to see him come back down to earth and still be, in above that quota. We're like those along at 900. We want to be above that. I forget. Guys do at least 92 or something like that. There's two accepted areas you want your goalie to be at. I don't think he's dropped off as much as those particular numbers suggest.
Yeah, the quarter mark of the season in the NHL. Let me see if I find this that's going to be accurate. There's so many different numbers that they put out. I'm trying to see what the average amount of goals per game is. Yeah, they put out these different markers. 21, Jason Robertson, or number of players among the top 7 scorers. 4 right now who've never finished the season in the top 10. That's in that category. Tage Thompson. But there's been a lot of goals being scored around the league. Let me see here. I'm going to find it now because I'm determined to find it now. We'll come back. Okay, 6.3 goals per game is the average right now in 22-23 at the quarter pole. It's the highest rate at this stage of the season in 317 games played in the past 28 years.
Yeah.
05-06 and 95-96 were the same.
Okay.
That's crazy.
So you're going to sit here and tell me that the mid-90s was 28 years ago. You're going to play that.
I don't know. I'm just reading this.
Oh, my goodness. We went through that era there. It was like, they were like 2000s. Nobody was scoring at all. The games were terrible. There was neutral zone trap and all that. And then, what comes out, they to get rid of all that. That's when the red line came out, and the restrictions on where the goalies could go, and things like that. And you see that it started to work over the years a little bit, perhaps no more than this year. It's just pretty fascinating to sit down and watch the way the game evolves because of certain factors. There's that one. There's the current fiscal situation where you've got a bunch of guys making a ton of money, and then you have so many more younger guys in the league because you're getting all run into the top third or whatever. You miss that middle class there that makes $3-4 million a year. And we've talked with the coaches about this, about how they're doing some switching because the guys, there's so much less experience in the league right now.
We're having some distorted audio issues.
Oh, really?
Maybe our output levels need to be turned down a touch.
Let me move this over here.
So maybe we're feeding a little. We don't. For the people on the stream, I'll get off the mic a little bit. We don't feed it and hear it how it's being fed.
That should take care of it. I had it set to
too hot.
I don't know what I had it set to do, to be honest. It's never been turned up that high, but we should be good now.
All right. We got a good shot of Brian's credential there. We're going to join our radio audience coming up in a couple of moments.
Keep my headphones over here for the time being. That should fix it.
All right. Well, thanks for the note. I appreciate that. Let me give the guy credit. David messaged me that. And thank you, David. Appreciate it very much. I certainly want it to be audible, for sure. So Flyers and Penguins today. Now, the Pens are interesting this year because, as I said on Flyers Daily, they've been up and down like a toilet seat.
Yeah.
They got off to a great start of the year. They went 4-0-1. Then they had a 7-game skid. And now they're in the midst of a 6-1-1 stretch heading into this game tonight. And they've won 4 straight. And the way they won the 4 straight, they beat 3 of them on the road. Minnesota on the road, 6-4. Winnipeg on the road, 3-0. That's a really strong game from Chris Jarry there. 5-3 win over Chicago on the road. Then they came back home and they beat Calgary in the shootout. And Jarry Like Carter Hart has been a bit up and down. He got a good start to the season. Then he had that stretch of 6 games in the middle where he went 1-3-2 with an 865 save percentage. But in his last 2, he had the shutout, so he had 1,000 save percentage in that one and 32 saves. And then he had 33 saves on 34 against Calgary. So you're getting Jari when he's feeling pretty darn good about himself right now.
Yeah, they've had a good tandem there because Casey DeSmith has played well.
Mm-hmm. Even got back-to-back starts a week or so.
Yeah, so I was starting to wonder exactly what the overall situation was between those two because they had obviously a bit of a slow stretch there at Pittsburgh, but they were able to bounce back and saw DeSmith getting a couple of those starts. So it's it's always been I feel like I don't know. I guess Matt Murray kind of did calm it down a little bit, but I always have felt like ever since they moved on from Marc-Andre Fleury that they never had really figured it out. But these guys have been pretty steady for him.
Yeah, that's because Jari struggled in those playoffs.
Yeah.
And he had a good regular season and then struggled mightily just 2 years ago now in those playoffs. And Pittsburgh, the odd thing about them is they have not won a playoff series since they beat the Flyers. They win their back-to-back cups, and then they beat the Flyers in the first round in 2018, and they haven't won a playoff series since. They lost in the first round and swept by the Islanders in the 19 playoffs. They actually lost in the qualifying round in the bubble to the Canadiens, and the Flyers ended up taking on the Canadiens.
Mm-hmm.
And then they lost to the Islanders the next year in 6, and they lost to the Rangers the next year in 7. So they have not won a playoff round, one playoff round since winning the Cup.
I always get a little bit, a little bit skeptical about evaluating a team based on playoff wins when you look at a situation like, and I get it, like it goes on for 20 years in Toronto, or whatever it's been, you start to lose sight of the forest for the trees there or something like that. But, really, what's the difference in a 6 or 7 game series between winning or losing? Sometimes it's just a fluke bounce off of somebody's rear end. And, you're really going to go in and tear up your franchise over a puck that hits somebody in the rear end. Like, sometimes I feel like some people jump to conclusions a little bit too much based on numbers like that. But at the same time,
they are the oldest team in the league.
They are.
29.87 years average.
And when I heard you drop that, it was I don't know if we have this, but I'd love to see what the average ages of the roster the Flyers are fielding right now. As opposed to,
I think they're 26.
26 with the old guys.
Yeah.
It might be kind of crazy right now with what they're doing, but they do have, them and Washington, I feel like, are in the same boat. They are both on the cusp of their current era's ending. And
I've been predicting that for 4 years.
Yeah, but you feel like that's the thing. You feel like it should have happened 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
But
Crosby's 35.
Yeah.
Lonkin's 82. But look at Crosby in 20 games this year, 10 goals and 17 assists and 27 points.
Right. So they keep defining it as a whole.
Yeah.
But eventually it's going to catch up to them. So they're all looking at this as like, all right, what do we need to do to get one more run out of this group? And that one more run includes figuring out the ways to win Game 7s in the playoffs and stuff, because you're not going to have many more kicks at the can with this group. So
Crosby too, still playing over 20 minutes a game, and he's 30. Sid the Kid is no more because the kid is 35.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean it's astounding the numbers he's putting up as a 35-year-old, and where maybe he's lost a little bit physically, he can think the game at the next level, and that's in some ways that may even make him more dangerous.
Yeah.
Guys like that are just it's bananas. I mean even Carter, drafted in 2003. In 17 games, he's got 11 points, and he's playing 3C for him.
He's played over 1,100 games now, which is astonishing. Given,
so is Crosby.
It doesn't feel like that long ago he was here, but we're now past 10 years since that trade.
Yeah,
and
that contract finally ran out.
Ran out last year, right?
15-year contract. It's 12, but I mean, it finally ran out. He signed his first contract that wasn't signed with the Flyers. Last offseason.
Yep.
That's bananas.
Yeah. So it's kudos to him. They've been able to stick around so long. Didn't go down the Shea Weber route or something like that, where he signed a really long deal. And
you would have thought, like, as a big body too, he would have been a guy maybe that wouldn't be able to stay around real long.
Yeah.
Sometimes the bigger guys, he's a big, tall guy. And sometimes they don't last as long. But I guess he could handle the wear and tear better.
And he was never I don't think he was ever in a 1C situation, was he, after he left here?
No,
he was always in a
LA
situation where he didn't have to eat a ton of minutes, and he was
not those grinding minutes.
Right.
Kopitar took that.
Yeah. He was a complimentary character.
Yeah.
I have no idea when we're starting on the FM.
23.
Okay. I'm not listening to Ryan. I'm listening to the mix right now.
Can we get Ryan? Can you hear us? Yeah. Okay. You can put station in our ears, by the way. That's cool. That's fine with us. We can handle the doing the double duty. We give you the lineups and the line combinations, and they are different tonight. And there's a little bit of a reward for a guy. So that's a little radio tease.
Yeah.
Crosby against the Flyers in 80 games is 51 goals, 69 assists, 120 points. Oddly enough, there is a team that he's got more points against in 2 less games. Do you know who that is?
Is it the Islanders?
It is the Islanders.
Yeah, that's right.
128 points versus the Islanders. Now, 40 of them goals, 88 assists. But against the Flyers, still some staggering numbers, and obviously the 51 goals. He scored his 50th against the Flyers. Do you feel like this rivalry's got a little less teeth because the Flyers aren't fielding many guys that have history with it?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like most of what formed the rivalry over the years was the 2012 playoff series.
Yeah.
I mean, there was one in 2008 also.
Yeah.
The 2012 one. That was enough to keep it going for a while. So
we go to the radio audience. And welcome inside the Wells Fargo Center. It is Flyers Game Day, brought to you by Betway. Brian Smith, Jason Martinez. We're getting ready for a tradition. It's the Black Friday tradition of Flyers Pens, and the Flyers looking to stop an 8-game skid, a winless skid against a team that is playing really well right now, 6-1-1 in their last, 5-1-1 in their last 7. And a team that's won 4 straight games is feeling pretty good about where their game is right now after a 7-game winless skid themselves. It's Crosby, Malkin, Letang, and the Penguins to take on the Philadelphia Flyers. And, Brian, this game today is one that you just cannot make those big mistakes against, because while they're aged up, Crosby, Malkin, and Letang, they can still make you pay if you don't have the diligence and detail in your game.
Oh, yeah. There's no question about it. If you give those guys a boost, they'll still take a mile despite all the mileage that they have on themselves, and, despite anything else that might be going on with this team, they are still as dangerous as they've ever been. And, right before you came on the air here, we were talking about the old rivalry and how there's not a ton of Flyers left from when the rivalry started 10 years ago, but those two guys are still fit. And so they're still feeling it. They're still passing it along to some of the new guys that are here. And, you can bet that it's going to bring out the best in both of their games tonight.
Yeah, it always has. And Malkin just goes over 1,000 games the other night, 1,001 now heading into this one. Let's give people the Flyers lines for tonight, all right? Let's start here. Hayes, centering Noah Cates and Owen Tippett. Second line. I don't know if this is second line or first line, but this is the order that we get in a minute. Frost, centering Zach Keelan. And Kiefer Burroughs moves up significantly from the fourth line. We both really liked his game the other day.
Yeah, he's strung together 2 or 3 games here in a row that have been pretty good. And I don't know what it means, but when we were talking with John Tortorella before the game, it's the first line that he reeled off.
Yeah.
So I don't necessarily think looking at that as 1 versus 2, whatever. I'm looking at it as the top 2 lines, that they'll set out in various situations. But yeah, he's definitely getting a little bit of a reward. It sounds like it's just in time for him to come up a little bit.
We actually talked about that on the postgame show the other day, that this is a guy that hasn't played a lot of hockey before being claimed here on waivers. Played 1 game for the Islanders, was scratched a few times here and trying to understand the system and what this coaching staff wants him to do. And he's taken a step forward, and he gets rewarded for it. So we'll see Bellows along with Frost and McEwen. The third line, is Tanner Lazinski in the middle with Joel Farabee and Nick Laurier, and then Sedlak, Jackson Cates, and Patrick Brown. Like I think you'll see Brown and Sedlak, depending on what side of the ice the face-off is on, probably share those face-off duties. And then for the D, it's pretty much chalk. Provorov and D'Angelo, Sanheim and Braun, Sealer and Ristolainen, and Carter Hart facing a guy in Tristan Jarry that he's worked out with many times in the offseason. And there is a little bit of a, hey, I am playing the other goalie, although they never will tell you that. That's baloney. Those two do know each other, worked out together, and trained together. So it's Hart versus Jarry tonight against the Penguins.
Yeah, it'll be a good matchup here. And, again, we've been talking about Carter, how he's been playing, and how he's trying to, basically put down the floor as best he can, with the Flyers not scoring a lot of goals right now. So I would love to see him come out here in front of this is a building night. This is going to be the biggest crowd we've had all year. So I'm really hoping to see the Flyers come out here early and feed off this crowd. They still like the Penguins, that's for sure. There are a few too many Penguins fans in this building tonight.
I saw a guy in a Devils jersey. Like, who goes to a Penguins game? Where's a Devils jersey? I mean, was that guy?
I don't know. But, I'm really hoping to see if he can come out tonight and a couple of saves here in the first 10 minutes and get both the crowd and his bench going. I would really like to see the Flyers can play off that tonight.
Yeah, and that's a good point because I think that another guy that hasn't been a member of the Flyers and taken on the Penguins is a guy, Nick Laurier. I think he's going to pick up on this rivalry real quick.
Yeah.
And, we mentioned that Frost, Bellows, and McEwen line. I think Zach McEwen's going to understand what this game means to the fan base, too, and be here to really get after it and be a physical presence to provide those two players, more skilled players, the opportunity to get a little bit of space out there.
Right. Yeah. These guys played in games like this before with other teams that maybe weren't, this rivalry, but they can definitely, come in here and say, oh yeah, I know what this is like. This is like when I played for this team against that other team. They'll blend in very, very well, very, very quickly.
Yeah, no question about it. So it's the Flyers and the Penguins. It's Black Friday. Like I said, there is a good crowd in here.
Double reverse retro night.
Oh, is it? And they're reverses too?
Yeah, they are.
Oh, I didn't even know that was a thing. See, I always thought that if one team wears it, the other team should as well.
If they're darks versus lights, that's the only factor. Yeah. So
that would be really fun if they were both lights or both darks. The turnovers would be through the roof. NHL crew upstairs would be freaking out.
That'd be great.
But stay tuned. Tim Saunders, Steve Coates, they remember the rivalry as well. They're part of it. And they've got the kicked on the face-off all the first period action from the Wells Fargo Center. You've been listening to Flyers Game Day brought to you by Betway on the Flyers Broadcast Network.